Good to see each one of you here this morning. It's been kind of a cold and chilly week, although today's a little bit warmer, and it's not so bad. Today I'm gonna do something just a little bit different. I'm gonna read you a story, and it's not scripture, but it's about scripture. And you'll recognize what it's about pretty quickly. It's written by a man named Al Andrews. And the title of the little book is A Walk One Winter Night. And it goes like this. It was cold that winter evening. As I ambled down my quiet street, I needed to walk to clear my mind of all the clutter and the stress of this season. It seems that every year it gets worse. More necessary parties, irritated drivers, panicky shoppers, long lines everywhere. I remember a time when I was more expectant, when the reason for all of this celebrating meant everything to me. But sadly, this night, my internal monologue was, let's just get this thing over with and get back to normal. Frankly, my cynicism troubled me. And when I'm troubled, I take a walk. Even if it's near midnight, even if it's cold, even if there are still things to be done. The hour was late, and a light rain was falling. Stray flakes of snow twirled and mingled in. From windows and trees, the lights of the season sparkled through the heavy mist like stars aching to beam brightly on this dreary, dark night. Turning up my collar, I pulled the jacket tighter. That kind of cold finds its way in through almost any opening. As I walked, I saw them out of the corner of my eye. Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, displayed in a wooden stable in someone's front yard. The usual characters were assembled as well, shepherds and sheep and camel, and the wise men, 3. On the stable roof, a precariously perched angel looked on and was tilting slightly to the left. All of them were illuminated by 2 bright floodlights shining from the grass in front of them. I almost passed them by. They were easy to miss, as I had grown accustomed to their presence. They are, after all, available everywhere in all sizes: ornament size, mantle size, coffee table size, and yard size. They come in a box, easy to assemble. But that night, and I'm not sure why, something caused me to turn my head, inviting me to linger. I stopped to look at them for a while as one stands in front of a Rembrandt painting in a museum. I must admit, it felt somewhat odd and awkward. After all, grown-ups don't pause and stare at yard nativity scenes. But for some reason that night, that moment, I felt I should be there, to witness something, to see. I folded my arms and I looked, obedient to this mysterious nudge. She wore blue. Mary always wears blue. A neatly pressed, clean blue garment. Her face, porcelain and untouchable, had a fixed expression, pleasant and peaceful. With her fragile hands folded in prayer, she gazed down adoringly at the child, her child. She was perfect, this Mary, pristine, with moisture glistening on her smooth ceramic shawl. Joseph wore brown. Joseph always wears brown. Brown is a fitting color for a character relegated to the background. For someone who never gets top billing, his eyes appeared vacant, and his beard was neatly trimmed. He was there, as he always is, on the edge. He can't seem to find his place. Everyone else has something distinctive: wings, crowns, gifts, halos, a shepherd's crook. But all he has is brown. Then there was the baby Jesus. His tiny arms extended, the star attraction. A halo encircled his little head, reaching from ear to ear. A clean white fabric wrapped around him. Swaddled, I suppose, is the appropriate Christmas word to use. He smiled an unearthly smile. He's always happy, this manger Jesus. It looked like he'd never slept and never cried. It didn't appear that he wanted to be held or nursed or cuddled even. I won't take the time to describe the others, but you know them well. You probably even know where each one is positioned in the stable. The shepherds go there, and the sheep are over there not far. And the wise men, there, and over there. I imagine you two are accustomed to their presence. I remained standing, trying to stay warm, looking at them through the gauzy mist, and I pondered. I simply couldn't relate to them in any way. They seemed remote and untouchable, just like this season had become to me. With considerable guilt, I wondered, why don't I like these people? After this abrupt and irreverent thought came to me, I half expected the ground underneath to open up and swallow me whole, or a bolt of lightning to descend with a flash and a snap, leaving a little pile of smoldering ashes that used to be me. I closed my eyes and I waited for the end. Thankfully, neither the heavens nor the ground opened, so I continued my gaze. And then something happened. Something I frankly don't expect you to believe. I heard a noise coming from Mary's direction. It startled me. "Who's that?" I said. Though her figure didn't move, a soft voice pleaded. "This is not me," she cried. "This is not real." And her voice broke. "Please listen to me. My garment, it isn't this clean. And it's not this brilliant shade of blue. It's a blue faded by the dust of a journey to Bethlehem, a long journey. It smells of my sweat and of the mule whose back I rode upon. My blue is stained with red, the blood of birth. It is soiled by the dung of the stable floor, and my face, my real face, is blemished. I'm a teenage girl. My brow is furrowed from worry. Worry about this baby, about tomorrow. What will Herod do? Will he find us? And my eyes are red from tears of pain. I am so lonely and afraid. This is my first baby. And my mother is not here with me. This is not who I am," she said again. "I am real. Please, let me be real." And her voice trailed off. "You are wrong about me too," was coming from Joseph's direction. "This is not me. This is not real. Please, listen to me," he said firmly, and I started to take a step backwards. But his voice riveted me in place. "Listen," he repeated. "Really listen. I am not the quiet, simple character you make me out to be. My eyes are not vacant. Hours ago, they were full of fire when I grabbed the innkeeper's tunic with a tight grip and said, 'Don't you tell me that there's not some room somewhere.' And he found us a place. I am a man with a purpose, to travel where I was told to go and to leave my family safely there, and we made it. And now that we are here, I am still on guard, for we are in danger." Joseph continued, "Yes, I wear brown, but it's for stealth. I blend in with my surroundings, and from my vantage point, my eyes scan every opening in this place for anyone who is out to do us harm. And no one will get by me. Let them try. I am the keeper of this light, and I will keep him safe. You are wrong about me. This is not who I am. I am real. Please let me be real." His words soaked into me like the evening's mist, and I felt admonished and awakened to something that was true. And then I heard a cry. I looked at Jesus in the wooden manger, and he was thrashing about in the hay. He had soiled himself, and he looked uncomfortable. His cloth was twisted in his arms and legs. He grimaced from the prickly straw, and his face was red, and his cry grew louder, the cry of a hungry infant. His toothless mouth opened, and he arched his back, and he cried so hard that he ran out of breath, and for a moment it was quiet. But I knew it was the quiet before he drew another breath, and then he wailed so loudly I expected the lights to come on in the nearby houses, to turn on, and the neighbors to come running out. I wondered if he, too, would speak. But he didn't need to speak. Somehow his words were in me, and I spoke for him. This is not me. This is not real. Please listen to me. The reason I came, the reason I was sent, was to be real. To feel everything you felt, to know everything you need, because I needed it too. To hurt like you've hurt, and laugh like you've laughed, skin my knee like you've skinned your knee, and have my heart broken like your heart has been broken. I came so that one day, or one winter's night, when you come face to face with your defeat, your moment of absolute need, you can come to me and say, "You know this true. You know this too. Please lead me through it." And I will. This is not me. I am real. Please let me be real. Then there was silence. A long stillness that hushed the wind and pushed away the noises of the night. In the quiet, I was being given room to feel and to consider what I had just seen and heard. And out of the silence, the truth appeared like stars revealed by parting clouds. Maybe the figures before me weren't real because I had made them that way so that they would be predictable and safe, easy to ignore and box up after Christmas, out of sight, out of mind. Maybe if Jesus wasn't real, he would be tame and small. Maybe I had rendered him untouchable because I was afraid of his touch. "I'm sorry," I said. "I know this isn't you. I can see it now. You're not who I've seen you to be, untouchable, perfect, something I made rather than someone who made me. You are real. You are true. And you are here." "I am so sorry," I said again as my eyes brimmed with tears. The sorrow nudged me to kneel next to the shepherds on the grass, in front of something so real, so very real, I couldn't even begin to comprehend it. As I knelt, I became a part of the story, and the story became a part of me, and I felt his gentle pardon. Suddenly, everything expanded. This scene, this night, my heart, and I felt real. I stood and remained there a while, quietly looking at them as they gazed back at me. And I realized something. I like these people now, and I think they like me. Shivering, I wondered if Jesus was cold too, so I laid my scarf over his hands and his feet, the same hands and feet I would one day see again. I tucked him in as best I could. "Good night," I said to him. "Sleep well. You've traveled far." I stayed behind him for a few minutes, beside him for a few minutes, just as I once stayed beside my own newborn sons as they drifted into sleep. Then a low, regal voice came from one of the wise men. He whispered as if he was aware that Jesus was sleeping. "We, like you, are drawn to this place, and we have journeyed far to come here to see what you have seen. And what you have seen is what this world has been waiting for." And from a shepherd standing behind Joseph, I heard another quiet voice. "Once you hear the angels sing, you will never be the same. If you listen carefully, they're always singing." And then there was quiet. No more voices, no movement, no more surprises. I sensed it was time to go. I started to walk back to my house. The cold wind and a few flakes of snow urged me along. My pace was slow and thoughtful. This walk had become a journey I didn't want to end. Something had returned to me, and I yearned for it to remain. When I reached the corner of the street, I thought I heard singing, and I turned for one last look. In the distance, I saw a warm glow coming from a small wooden stable in a yard down the street, sheltering something inside that was older than the stars and bigger than our whole wide world. And it was real. So I want to encourage you today as we think about this story. How many times have you passed a nativity scene and you just kind of look the other way? You almost get tired of looking at them. That speaks a lot about us and our hearts, I think. We need to tell the story. We need to read the story. We need to listen to the story. We need to find our place in the story and remember the story. You look for details that you've not seen before, and get your children and your grandchildren to tell you the story. That's always interesting. When we fail to repeat the story of Jesus, it loses significance and it dies in our heart. Satan tried to kill baby Jesus. Now he uses these dolls of baby Jesus to kill our faith. He makes the doll so common that we tire of seeing it. And we can walk right past it, never thinking about what it represents. Everyone, young and old, likes to receive gifts. When we're young, we primarily focus on the receiving. We like to get. But as we grow up, we begin to enjoy the giving more than the getting. We remember Jesus' words. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And when we think about what that little baby has given to us, all the junk and the stuff that we spend our money on this time of year begins to look pretty sick by comparison. It is sometimes hard work to separate the commercialism from the genuine story of what happened. It requires a lot of effort to keep the genuine story in front of our eyes. You must believe it's true yourself before you can convince your child or your grandchild that it's real. Did it really happen this way? So listen to these few short words from Luke chapter 2, beginning in verse 1. And it came to pass in those days that a decree went out from Augustus Caesar that all the world should be registered. This census took place while Quirinius was governing Syria. So all went to be registered, everyone to his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed, who was with child. So it was that while they were there, the days were completed for her to be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Let me encourage you all to make opportunities to tell and talk about his story. Not only this beginning part that we just read, but the whole story. Not just this time of year, but all year round. Not only when your child is young, but when he or she is old. Continue to talk and receive the blessings of his story. I want you to think about something. Our God came for us in the form of a baby Jesus. There's no other religion in the world that can make that statement, that can boast that our God came for us. And the story of Jesus is how that happened.